A drought can be defined as a period of dry weather conditions that is brought along by a lack of water, usually the lack of rain. Droughts can be defined in three different capacities: meteorological, hydrological, and agricultural drought. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration classifies the different droughts based on their impact and water defects. More specifically, although they are all classified as droughts, they each have different criterion. They can be classified by the people who are affected or the people who the droughts affect the most, the lack of water production, and at times of the droughts. The meteorological drought describes conditions of precipitation defect. Agricultural drought describes conditions of soil moisture defect. Hydrological drought describes conditions of defect in runoff. The Dust Bowl, both a meteorological and agricultural drought, is one of the most prominent epidemics in the United States. Viewing the drought from the environmental capacity, the severe dust storms substantially destroyed the southern plains region of the United States in the 1930s and lasted about a decade. High winds and dust swept the entire region of the Midwest, extending from Texas to Nebraska, taking lives, killing livestock and crops. The impact of the Dust Bowl led to the destruction of land, homes, and a complete change of the way of life for many. The Dust Bowl was a direct consequence of the poor economy and poor agricultural factors. In 1862, the Homestead Act was passed, which led to the mass stream of inexperienced farmers and new farmers. The wheat demand grew, which resulted in an increase of farmers plowing and planting and decreasing cattle grazing. As the United States entered the Great Depression and wheat prices rapidly declined, farmers eradicated more grassland to break even. Dry land farming on the Great Plains led to the systematic destruction of the prairie grasses. In the ranching regions, overgrazing also destroyed large areas of grassland. Gradually, the land was laid bare, and significant environmental damage began to occur. Among the natural elements, the strong winds of the region were particularly devastating. Locke, 2019. The Dust Bowl was one of those disasters that can only be put to an end naturally. The only thing that could be done was try and reduce the time period of the Dust Bowl and start prevention methods to make sure another severe drought like this one will not take place again. President Roosevelt set in stone programs to guide farmers on proper agricultural techniques and practices. For a greater incentive, he provided farmers with compensation, $1 an acre, if they followed through with these new practices. A more dominant program, the Civilian Conservation Crops, employed thousands of Americans that in turn planted more than 200 million trees in the Great Plains. The rainfall in 1939 in many areas of the Great Plains signified the end of the Dust Bowl.